This tutorial will show you how to convert your floor plan to only a perimeter so that I can take your floor plan and create a roof profile for you, which you can use for your elevation drawings, your site plan, and also, probably most importantly, your final exam dream home model. So once you have your floor plan complete, you need to do a couple steps in order to get it to the file type that I can process and create your roof type for you quickly and efficiently. It's important that you follow these directions carefully and specifically, because if you don't, you're going to be wasting your time and my time as well. If you don't follow them correctly and send me an incorrect file type, it's just going to get sent back to you. You're going to spend more time having to do it again, or maybe 2 or 3 times. So it's to your benefit to pay attention and follow the directions carefully. So to figure out what your roof is going to look like, you need to start with your floor plans, which at this point in time should already be done. Open your floor plans and first off compare the size of the first floor to the size of the second floor. If the footprint, meaning the perimeter, the outside perimeter of the house, is the same for the first floor and the second floor, this will be a little bit easier. If they're different size, you're going to have to adjust accordingly. Right now, the sample that I'm looking at has the same size first floor and the same size second floor. So I'm going to use the perimeter of either one to define the footprint of my roof. So once you've opened your floor plan and determined that, I'm going to ask you to save your floor plan, do a save as on the floor plan somewhere on your P drive, and name it your name dash roof. That way I know when you email it to me it's for a roof plan. What you're going to start off by doing is in that new file, create a new layer. If you didn't see where I did, click on the layer properties manager to open the layer properties, and then click the new layer button to define a new layer. Call this perimeter and change the color to something that will contrast what you're using, so blue or red or something different than you've already used. Okay, once you've created a new layer, you can close that out. What you should do is activate that new layer by going to the layer drop-down list, click on perimeter, and now the perimeter layer is up. So now I'm on the perimeter layer. Now whatever lines you draw should end up on that layer and should be whatever color you specified. The color is not important. So from here I'm going to use the line command, and I'm going to start by highlighting or outlining the perimeter of my house. Make sure that your object snaps are turned on. Notice I'm just drawing right on top of my walls using the snaps of the corners of my house, the outer walls now, not the inner walls, to outline the perimeter of my home. Notice I'm going point to point all the way across. When you do this, you can't have any short line segments. Every line segment needs to be one line from point to point. Once I've finished, now I have the perimeter of my home. From here, I'm going to turn off all my other layers except for the layer that I need. Now I'm left with only the perimeter of my house. From here, I need to give my walls some thickness. So very simply, I'm going to use the offset command and offset my walls in 4 inches. It's important to use the measurement of 4. It doesn't matter if your walls are 6 or 8 inches thick in real life. Just offset all your walls inwards 4 inches. It's important you stay consistent with the 4 inches, because the program that I use to generate the roof pattern has set to 4 inches as a standard. So once you've created all these offsets, you can use the fillet command with a radius of 0 to trim and extend all your lines. And again, it's important one of the most important things when you do this is that your lines are continuous lines from point to point. If you have any short line segments, or worse yet, lines on top of lines, this will not work at all when you send me this file. And again, I missed one corner, so I need to go back and make sure I get that. Okay, now I have everything. Now I'm going to save this before I go any further. So to double check, what you should do is highlight your entire thing. Now notice when I highlight this, every line has these toggle snap points. It should have an end point, a midpoint, and another point on the end. If you see any other blue marks, let me show you an example. If I have a line on top of a line, say I drew a line here, Now when I go and highlight this, okay, I see an extra blue snap point in here. That indicates that there's either a short line segment in here or an extra line in here. You need to be careful that you need to be sure that you delete all those. If you have any short line segments, any non-closed segments, meaning if these lines aren't a closed perimeter, the program won't generate the roof properly, and I'll send the file back to you and tell you that you wasted my time. So again, this is the most important step. Make sure that every line is continuous from one point to the other, meaning corner to corner, and there's no short lines. So every line is one line from one point to the next. If you have shorter lines or line segments, go back and delete them and make them one line from point to point. Once you've created this, you're ready to send me this file. From here, you can attach this file to an email and let me know what type of roof you would like and what slope of roof. So let's talk a little bit about roof types and roof slope. When you finish your file, it should look something like this. Again, just the perimeter of your home. This is what you're going to email to me. However, what you need to also determine is what type of roof do you want. The two most common roof types are a hip roof, as highlighted here, and a gable roof. Gable roof typically has two sides sloped, typically the front and back. The hip is kind of like a pyramid, has all four sides sloped. If it's an L-shaped or some other shaped home, you may have more than four sides to it. Beyond the type of roof, the hip or gable, you need to determine the slope. Slope is measured in rise over run. So if you look at some examples here on rise over run, we'll get back to these samples in a second. Run is the horizontal length, rise is the vertical. So if you make a right triangle, you can simply determine the slope of your roof. 12 is always the run. So if you look at all these examples here, 12 is always a uniform run. What varies is the rise. So with a run of 12 units, it can go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever you like. So notice that the higher the rise, the steeper the roof is. So you need to pick a slope depending on the type of roof you'll want and the style of home you're trying to get. These are some examples of finished rendered views of a hip roof on the bottom here. Here's a gable roof. Again, there's some gables on the sides and also on the front. This front piece is called a gable. Same thing with the side. This flat face here is called an eave. Here's a combination of a hip and gable roof. So you can have combinations thereof. Again, it's important that you specify which type you want. So include that in the body of the email. Tell me what type of roof you want and what slope do you want for your roof. Once you've created all that, you can attach your AutoCAD file to an email. Make sure that the perimeter file is the perimeter layer is active and there's nothing else on the perimeter layer. Because when I import this, I'm only going to import the perimeter layer and nothing else. So again, when you send me your file, be very careful that when you have your perimeter layer active, there is nothing else on that layer. If there's anything else on that layer, it's going to throw it off again and the file will be rejected. So that's what you need to email to me. From there, once you've sent it to me, I'll work with you individually to generate the pattern for your roof. And what it'll look like is I'll send you a file with a 3D image of your home, which could look something like this for reference. You'll also get a set of plans that'll be printed out full size to the scale that you're going to build your model. So these are two-dimensional plans that can be folded together to make a roof, in this case, that fits on top of this home here. That was a hip roof that you just saw that fit on top of this, and that's what I can generate for you to print out on the plotter for you to fold together to make for your model. Thanks for watching.